Copy and make it.
Oh, of course, there I am. There we go. There we go.
Okay, let's make sure that our note taker's taking notes. I'm gonna also start our recording. Bear with me.
Push this in, push it in.
Okay, let me get you a piece of paper.
Okay, my note taker's taking notes. You'll see a timer up in the corner. Just ignore that. That was me testing our timers. Welcome to the Tri-Valley Democratic Club. And thank you for all who have been working on the past campaign. We did take last month off to be able to focus on campaigning and working for our favorite candidate for Congressional District 14. As you know, that election took place yesterday. The first batch of ballots our first drop of vote counts came out last night. Dr. Wahab has a narrow lead. Melissa Hernandez is about...
Everything looks good.
You might want to mute yourself. Whoever's off.
Just
There we go. So a couple things I'd like to just say in opening about the election. Number one, I'm thankful that I won't see any of these nasty ads for a while. That was extremely painful, watching some of the twisted versions of Dr. Wahab's record on nonstop media blasts. If you live here in the district and you have cable TV, you literally saw these nasty ads 4 or 5 times a day in one program. Just to set the record straight, the controversy around SB 1414, which a lot of these ads were talking about, you know, the 16 and 17-year-old and the so-called loophole. Senator SB 1414 was authored by Republican Senator Sharon Grove. Okay, so keep that in mind. Which was sought to make soliciting any minor for sex a felony, regardless if it was 2 teenagers, a 16-year-old, a 17-year-old, 17-year-old, and an 18-year-old. The Senate Public Safety Committee, which was chaired by Wahab, amended the bill to automatically apply the new felony classification to victims under the age of 16. And I believe this was passed pretty much unanimous or in a bipartisan fashion. So it wasn't a shocking bill. I would just encourage our members, before you take for granted things that you see in negative campaign ads, especially when they're funded by outside interests, to do the research. So I would encourage you to look at some of the legislation that was passed, the fentanyl legislation for Safer California and Prop 47. You know, look at some of these bills. The press release on SB 1381. You know, don't take these negative ads to heart, though they do work. I'm afraid they do work. And I would ask that any member of this organization, whether a club member or the Alameda County Democratic Central Committee, when you're campaigning, use fair campaign practices. Do not lie or exaggerate about your opponent. Tell us what you do. Tell us what your strengths and even weaknesses are. But don't exaggerate.
Let me talk, and that it doesn't.
And twist the record of another candidate.
Video.
I want to thank everybody that showed up to the Tri-Valley. Somebody's unmuted.
Okay.
If you could please mute,
Well, I'll try to.
Thank you. I want to thank everybody that came to the UDC fundraiser. The UDC is the official Democratic campaign headquarters of the Tri-Valley. We are chartered through the Alameda County Democratic Party. It is separate than the club. The difference is the clubs can endorse who they wish. They can go outside the party and endorse a different Democrat for office, maybe somebody different than what the party endorses. But the UDCs work for the endorsed candidate of the Democratic Party. So we held a fundraiser this weekend. We had representation from all over the Tri-Valley with people running for office, current elected officials. We were co-sponsored by Senator Jerry McNerney. We also had representation giving information out for Prop 4, the Clean Money campaign. And that was something we've already endorsed as a club. So next month, we're going to get an update on that Clean Money campaign, which is currently Prop 4. We also had representation from Connect Bay Area. Mana Patel and team were sharing information about the Bay Area Connect, and that was another measure that this club has endorsed. So again, thank you. I also want to thank the East Bay Young Dems, Harjab and Manav and gang who came and helped set up and volunteer their time. I really appreciated all the help from the Young Democratic team. And as a reminder, next month we will get an update on Prop 4, the Clean Money campaign. That was something that this club endorsed and we pledged to co-sponsor. So we do not need to re-endorse that, but we'll get an update about now it is named Prop 4 and will be on the ballot. As well as we will hear for Prop 38 next month, as well as the Dublin parcel tax. So we still have more local endorsements to do next month. So stay tuned for that. And with that, is Richard on? Richard.
Yes, I am.
Okay, I'm looking for
sorry.
Richard Lee.
Richard Lee, sorry, wrong Richard.
I want to pin him for these next sessions. And before we get started, Ellis, did you have a comment or question, sir?
Yeah, a real quick question. You were talking about the election earlier between Melissa and Aisha Wahab.
Mm-hmm.
And if you watched the news a few minutes ago, they were 1,500 votes apart, but they're damn close, 49-51, as far as the percentage. The enemies of the Democratic Party have a tool. It's called divisiveness. And they would have us be divided. And I want to caution our members, don't get angry at people who back your opponent in this particular race. We're all Democrats, and we're all going to have to come together in the next 2-year cycle because that's an important race. It's a presidential race, and having a divided Democratic Party is exactly what our enemies want. So keep that in mind, and keep in mind that part of the reason that all of that money was donated for all of those advertisements that we're sick of is because they're seeds for divisiveness. They make us turn on each other, and we don't want to do that. Keep that in mind. That's their motive. And Jackie, you may think that you've seen the last of those commercials. I got news for you. It ain't over. That lady has not sung. Thank you.
Thanks, Ellis. And I assume we're going to hear more versions of this and the next. I hope that leaders out there hear us, that we do not want Democrats to rip Democrats apart. If you want to highlight your strengths and your accomplishments, that's awesome. But if all your campaign is going to be is tearing down others, this person won't vote for you. That's just my 2 cents. Golden, normally I wouldn't open it up for more comments, but I think we have 2 or 3 minutes before our next speaker. So go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I just want to point out, so because we know Aisha won the election, I want people to be advised that Aisha and Melissa are still gonna face again for the November election. And keep in mind, Melissa Hernandez will not stop and let's keep making attack ads. She might make worse one based on my thinking, what I can see through my intelligence mind that they may make an ad saying that Aisha is independent now, America's dying, please vote for Hernandez. They might make those attack ads and keep making false stuff makes it worse one than ever. So we still want to counter the attacks because we knew that during some of our events we attended with the Aisha Wellhoff's fundraiser, we saw Sean Wilson and Melissa Hernandez's husband or boyfriend that was attending the event in which we didn't expect them to be present. And they've made some people uncomfortable. We try to move aside from them. And we knew that they came and intimidated the campaign very often. So we gotta still be careful about that. Given general election, we need to be very prepared.
Thank you. And like I said, I don't want to be on the other side going through attacks either. So I want to be very aware that from the Central Committee's perspective, both people are members. We should be respectful to both. And with that being said, I'm gonna go ahead and turn this over to lead our candidate discussion to my Vice President, Richard Lee. And I believe first up, since Marisol will be a little later in the program, we're gonna pin Richard as our first speaker, I believe. Is that correct, Richard?
You can pin me. You can also pin, I know Commissioner Thornbury is going to be our first person talking, so you can also pin Richard, other Richard.
I'm already getting confused with both Richards.
A Richard confusion.
But before that, Jackie, I just want to confirm, are we recording?
I'm doing it through Fathom. If you notice the note takers up there.
Okay, perfect. Sounds good. All right. Jackie, I don't know if we're able to get a timer up, but
I have a 6-minute scheduled to go as soon as I click start.
it should be 3 minutes.
Oh, 3 minutes.
Sorry. For folks and candidates who weren't aware of the format, every candidate's going to get 10 minutes, 3 minutes for an opening statement. We'll have 6 minutes of Q&A from membership, and then a minute for a closer. And so for the 3 minutes in the beginning and then the minute at the end, we'll have a lovely timer for y'all to take a look at Zoom so y'all know where you are in the timing. But we can go ahead and pin both Richards. I know you're working on a million things right now, Jackie, so sorry about that.
So I'm going to spotlight that. And we have another person I need to pin, Richard?
Oh no, it's okay. You can just pin Richard. Other
Okay.
Richard.
And I'll let you do the announcement of introduction.
All right. Perfect. Thank you, Jackie. And thank you all for being here. This is our one endorsement meeting for city council and mayoral candidates running in the Tri-Valley area. That covers San Ramon, Dublin, Pleasanton, Livermore. As Jackie mentioned, we're going to start with Councilmember Marisol Rubio up in San Ramon. She has a conflict at the last minute, so she'll come a little bit later in the meeting. We'll get started with our candidates in Dublin. And so first off, everybody can see we have Commissioner Richard Thornbury. Richard is chair of the Dublin Parks and Community Services Commission, and he is running for Dublin City Council District 2. Richard, I will turn it over to you whenever you're ready. The timer will begin, and you can start whenever you like.
Okay, thank you very much, Richard. It's great to see all the Tri-Valley Democrats here tonight. Thank you again for the invitation. As Richard said, my name is Richard Thornbury, and I'm running for Dublin City Council in District 2. My wife and I have called Dublin home since 2019, and we're really proud to be raising our young son in such a great community. And since 2021, I've served on the Dublin Parks and Community Services Commission, which is an advisory body to the City Council and city staff. And I'm running for City Council now because I want to make sure that Dublin sustains its high quality of life that it provides for its residents while striving to make it a more affordable place to live. And so in order to do that, I think we should focus on 3 key areas: fiscal sustainability, public safety, and housing affordability. So first on fiscal sustainability, as the city of Dublin reaches build out, we're now forecasted to have budget deficits as early as 2030. And so in the next few years on council, it's going to require a proactive approach to ensure that our revenues sustain critical services and that we continue to invest in the types of things that provide a high quality of life for our residents. And I think chief among those is public safety, which should be prioritized when we're managing our budgets. And so this to me means, investing in first responder services to keep our community safe. But it also means investing in things like improving safety on our streets for pedestrians, cyclists, and drivers, particularly near like parks and schools. This is something that I get, I hear a lot of comments from families around Dublin often on this. And so that's something I want to make a priority for us. And then finally on housing affordability, whether you're talking about renters or aspiring first-time home buyers, seniors looking for affordable options to live, or even just families concerned that their growing children reaching adulthood might have a hard time affording to live in this community. This is a crisis that I think affects almost all of us in some way. And so I believe that Dublin should remain committed to producing more housing in our region. And I think if we focus on opportunities in infill and transit-oriented development, so like when our downtown or near our BART stations, that we can minimize the impacts of traffic and the sprawling infrastructure that we have to afford to maintain. And so if we do these things together, I believe that we can maintain a high quality of life for our residents today and for future generations. To City Council, I'd bring nearly 6 years of experience working with the city and residents as a Parks Commissioner. And once again, I'm very thankful for the opportunity to meet with you today, and I'm happy to take questions from the group. I think I made it my 3 minutes.
Right on time, Richard. Excellent. Very well done.
Thank you.
Oh, we got a little jingle too. I didn't even know that. Cool. And for everybody who is unaware, this is an open seat. This is current council member, or excuse me, Vice Mayor Jean Josie's seat, and it's going to be an open seat in November. And I see a hand up. Ellis, go for it.
Hi, Ellis.
Hi. I've asked this of a lot of candidates, so I'm going to ask of you. What is it in your background that motivates you to the public service that is on your resume? What makes you different than the rest of the people who don't run for public office, aren't park commissioners? That's it.
Sure. Yeah, I think that public service was always something that my mom really, instilled in me. And it was also a part of my education going up through school. We had a lot of, focus on making sure you were in service to the community and a lot of things like that. So that's always sort of been a part of my background. And, really, I just, started to take that in a direction of kind of paying attention to, what goes on in local affairs and things like that. And that's what got me interested in, I did the Inside Dublin course with Dublin, which is kind of like a class that teaches you kind of about the city, how the city operates and stuff. And it just really piqued my interest in getting involved. And so that's how I kind of steered myself towards wanting to get involved in the Parks Commission. And yeah, I've had a really great time doing that. And so now I want to take all these experiences to the City Council and work on some of these problems that I talked about in my intro.
Thanks so much, Richard, and thanks, Ellis. Jackie, I see your hand is up.
Yeah. Can you tell me any of your endorsements? Who has endorsed you, or have you had time to get those all squared around yet?
Yeah, so a lot of the meetings I haven't had time to get all those wrapped up yet, with some of the various groups and things like that. Just, talking to friends and people around the community. I haven't posted these online or anything like that yet, but a couple of the other commissioners on my Parks Commission plan on endorsing me as well. So those are some of the key things to start. And then, groups, I guess, will be forthcoming, and I'll post those to the website as they come along.
Thanks so much, Jackie. Thanks, Richard. Nathan, I see your hand up.
Hi, Nathan.
Hi, Richard. Yeah, thanks so much for throwing your hat in the race. I'm excited to get to know both of the candidates. I like what you said about housing, and I'm really curious, especially with like the latest stall to the Eden Housing Project near the Dublin Pleasanton BART station.
Yeah.
I'm just curious what you think. Where do you think the city so far has gone right and gone wrong when it comes to bringing in more housing? And I'm just curious, like in terms of the nuts and bolts, like what do you think you would be bringing to the table?
Yeah, I think I was really encouraged to see that agenda item last night, where the council seemed to push direction towards wanting to lean into that and find a resolution there. I think that those types of things are the things that we need to keep doing. And as far as what we've done well in the past is Dublin has done a pretty good job of being open to new housing, to doing things like working to get affordable projects in the city. They've committed things like affordable housing fund and Measure A1 bond funding to things like the Amador Station project, which is still working on coming forward near the West Dublin station. So those are all things that the city has done really well, and I want to be a voice to continue to push that and say like, hey, we did this, we kind of put ourselves behind that, and we need to keep doing whatever we can to keep pushing it forward. Because I think it's just like, it's a really big problem to solve, and we're not going to solve it with one project, but the more that we just chip away at this, I think is going to be really important. Was there a follow-up, Nathan? I saw your hand go up again.
No, I'm good. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Thanks so much, Nathan. All right, we have time for one last question, and then an anonymous question, Richard, for you. Someone is interested in knowing your stance on ICE out of Dublin.
Yeah, I strongly oppose having ICE anywhere in Dublin. I do not want them to be at the old FCI Dublin complex. I know it's a federal property, and it's not for sale unless they want to make it for sale. So there's not really much that we can do, but I commend the city council for sending a resolution saying that they oppose this, and just continuing to be, I think we should continue to just have a voice that like, we do not want this in our community. We do not support this, and we're not going to let this happen. We're not going to go quietly letting this happen. And so I think, you've seen them retreat in different places around the country when there's pushback. And so that's the stance I believe we need to take, is just keep saying that you're not going to do this to our community. This is not going to be easy. And we're going to be loud and out there.
Thanks so much, Richard. I know I saw in the chat there was another question on ICE, but it seems like the two questions were pretty related. And so hopefully that answers everything. Okay, cool. I know we've got 14 seconds left. We can end it there. Jackie, sorry, I know you had another question, but
just real quick, just on the pride flag, would you also support the continuous every year supporting raising?
Yep, absolutely. Would support continuing to do that. Yeah, I'm really glad that we do that. And yeah, we'll totally support it.
Thanks, Richard. Sorry, Richard.
no, you're good. Don't worry, Jackie. Thanks so much. And Richard, appreciate you taking the time to answer our questions. We'll give you a minute here to close with any final thoughts that you might have.
Sure. So thank you so much, everyone, for taking the time to let me chat with you today and hear a little bit about my vision for the Dublin City Council. Again, I think that if we focus on those three key areas, fiscal sustainability, public safety, and housing affordability, we can make sure that Dublin is a place that provides a great quality of life for our residents today and for many generations to come. And so if you guys want to learn any more about me, or look for some contact information for me, please visit my website at richardforddublin.com. That's the number 4, richardforddublin.com. And yeah, feel free to reach out anytime. There's email, phone number there, Instagram page. So more about the issues in my bio. So feel free to check that out. And thank you so much for the time. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Richard. Appreciate
Thanks,
you being
Richard.
here. Thanks for fielding our questions. You're free to stay if you'd like, but you are under no obligation to do so. And that goes for all of the candidates who will be speaking tonight. Same goes to you all as well. All
Great.
right.
Thank you.
Perfect. Thank you. All right, we can move on to our next candidate. Do we have Mr. Steve Lorey on here? I see him. Hi, Steve. All right, Jackie, would you mind? Thank you. Oh, perfect. There we go. Okay, wonderful. Hi, Steve. Everybody,
How are you?
really good. Thank you. Steve is also running for Dublin City Council District 2, and so it's the same race as Richard is. And Steve, same rules for you. 3 minutes opening, 6 minutes of Q&A, and then a minute for closer. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
Great. Thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate the opportunity to speak with you, and thank you for what you do as an organization to espouse democratic values here locally. Special thanks to Richard for going first. I appreciate that. As a good candidate and teammate, I appreciate you going first and helping me calm my nerves a little bit. My name is Steve Lorey. I'm running for Dublin City Council District 2. I've been in the Army for 27 years, and I'm coming to the end of my career. And my career culminated at Camp Parks, which is the military installation there in District 2. And I served as essentially what would be a city manager. And I was responsible for the health and welfare of our 438 residents, 114 homes, Department of Public Safety, Department of Public Works, and our emergency management. My education is strongly affiliated with local government. I have a bachelor's in public safety administration, and a master's in public administration, and a master's in leadership study with a emphasis in community engagement. But frankly, the reason I'm running for city council is this is the place that I want to call home. And like any other public servant, if you want to call a place home, then you should do everything you can to be a part of the solution and never the problem. My approach is pretty pragmatic and fairly simple. It's kind of based around three little things. First, connection. Second, collaboration, and finally, community. And these aren't hard things, because these are how I live my life anyway. I believe that we establish connections with one another, and I think that's critical to the opportunity for us to collaborate and talk about your concerns, my concerns, and our concerns. And then through that collaboration, look towards a shared future. And that shared future is what creates the sense of community, which I think is critical for Dublin. I think Dublin does it very well, but in terms of my priorities, they should sound very similar. Public safety is a critical priority. I believe that starts with transparency and trust. When it comes to serving the public, I think trust is absolutely paramount. I would like to focus on community policing, focus on public outreach and opportunities to engage with the public on policing matters rather than reactive policing. Certainly housing affordability is not a Dublin issue. It is a Tri-Valley state national issue at this point. And I know that Dublin has an uphill battle in that. But I do think we need to expand opportunities beyond just meeting RENA requirements, but also look for opportunities where we can create affordable housing and workforce housing. But that growth has to be thoughtful, and it has to be intentional. We don't want to grow so quickly that we lose the what makes Dublin special, that sense of community and that character. And finally, fiscal sustainability. We are potential to see a budget deficit as early as 2030. So I think we need to continue to make smart financial decisions that ensure that we don't find ourselves in that situation. But Dublin is in a good position. They do have a strong reserve and a budget surplus. And I think one of the things we should do is focus on spending money where it matters. And that sometimes that means some of our at-risk communities, our veterans, are unhoused, are mentally ill. I think that there's opportunities for us to engage those communities. And I think that's important when you're in a strong position to lead from the front on that.
Thank you so much. All right, same thing, everybody, for Steve. If you have a question, please raise your virtual hand, or you can drop it in the chat, or you can message me separately if you want to be anonymous. Manav, I see your hand is up. Go for it.
Awesome. Hi, Steve.
Hi, good evening, Manav.
I'm a big advocate for public transit, and I often take the West Dublin Pleasanton BART station. And I think it's one of the biggest transit hubs in the Bay Area, especially that it might be at risk of closing down if the transit measure doesn't go through in the fall, which I'm going to make sure it goes through. But anyways, what do you think we can do to help improve bus connections, pedestrian and bike access, and also just transit-oriented development around the West Dublin BART station? Because I know that's like in your district.
Yeah, so it's that's a good question, and I do think it is an issue. I'm with you that we shouldn't have that ballot measure fail. Because I do think it's critical, and any effort to improve public transit is obviously a priority for the city and for us as a region. I think that's important. One of the things that we're going to have to do is continue to look at the surrounding community and collaborate with them on how we want to approach. I don't think looking at a micro perspective on a problem like transportation is the right approach. I think we have to look larger than that and see what our piece is in the bigger plan, so that when we spend money and create initiatives where we improve our infrastructure and our transit opportunities, that we're a part of something greater, and that we're not redoing this 5 or 10 or 15 years from now because our plan wasn't a plan that made sense for the long term. So the short answer is think long term, but solve the problem locally.
Perfect. Thank you, Manav, and thank you, Steve. Ellis, I see your hand is up.
Same question.
I'm going to change my typical question a little bit. As a city council member, you're going to be voting on a plethora of little things that you hadn't even considered. And when you consider something, what is it in your background that colors how you think, what your priorities are, where your head's at? Because as voters, we just have to trust you. Tell us why, what in your background there is, though. Tell us why we should trust you. Thank you.
Thank you, Ellis. That's a great question. And I'll be honest, my answer is perspective. I had an opportunity to live in a lot of places, some of them not the best places on earth. And I gained a lot of perspective. And in that, I really developed a heart for people. And so whenever I come to any decision points, my first thought is, how does it affect people? I'm always pro people over profits. I'm always pro the individual and seeing how we can best serve their needs. And so when I look at any issue, I'm going to be considering it from the lens of how does this best serve the people of Dublin? And sometimes those are conflicting ideas, and that's what makes it challenging. But at the end of the day, I will always vote for people.
Thanks so much, Ellis, and thanks so much, Steve, as well. We've got 2 questions on ICE, an anonymous one, and then one from Stephanie and Tom. I guess I'll just ask both of them together because they're both about ICE. Same anonymous question posed to Richard as we'll pose to you, Steve, which is, how do you feel, what's your stance on ICE out of Dublin? And then Stephanie and Tom asks specifically, could you address the risk to our community if an ICE detention is established at FCI Dublin? Specifically, 1, what pushback are you committed to prevent that? And 2, if it's established, how will you protect vulnerable residents?
I think that's an important issue, and I unequivocally do not support ICE anywhere near Dublin, operating in Dublin. When I was serving as a command sergeant major for Camp Parks, I had ICE also seeking opportunities to work out of Camp Parks, and I was very opposed to it then. I remain committed and opposed to ICE in any sense in this area. In terms of individual steps, I am always inspired by uncompromising people, and I think this is one of those issues where you have to be uncompromising, and that you have to be willing to lay it all on the line for people, and acknowledge that whether your experience is the same as everyone else's, the fact is that this is hurting people, and we have to support those people. And so I'm ready to stand there with you. I'm ready to scream and yell and to hold my sign and exercise my rights as a private citizen to protest against ICE and any of the inappropriate and unacceptable behavior of that organization.
Thanks, Steve. Gene, I know you threw a question in the chat. I'm so sorry. We're only going to have time for one more, and I saw John's hand first, so John, go for it.
So, Steve, you mentioned that you put people first. Obviously, in any campaign, there's endorsements, there's a lot of money. And so my question to you is regarding endorsements and accepting campaign contributions. Are you taking any endorsements or campaign contributions from any PACs, police unions, firefighters union, any unions, any PACs, any big money going into your campaign? Because I believe that, of course, those large campaign contributions do influence the decision-making process. That's my question. Thank you.
Thanks, John. And as a lifelong public servant and not someone who has ever been in a position to seek endorsements for anything, I failed to realize how important they were. I have not sought an endorsement from anyone or any organization that hasn't approached me first. And I'm learning now, as having not been a politician, how important these conversations are. But no, I'm not taking money from any PACs presently, or don't intend to anyway.
Thanks so much, Steve, and thanks, John. That is time, unfortunately, Jean. I'm so sorry. But Steve, we'll give you a minute to close out. If you have any last remarks for us, feel free to go for it whenever you're ready.
Again, thank you, Richard and team. I really appreciate this opportunity. I believe in local government. I believe it's absolutely critical. I think it's the place where we can get things done. And that's what I love about the idea of a local city council. And so I'm enthused by the opportunity, and it is my intention to serve the city of Dublin with integrity and with transparency. And if I can earn your vote along the way and your endorsement, then fantastic. And no matter what happens, I want to see Dublin succeed. So I wish everyone the best of luck.
Thanks so much, Steve. Steve, you want to plug your website real quick?
Oh yes, you can find me at www.steve4Dublin2026.com, and the same Steve for Dublin on Instagram.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Steve. And I don't know if you have like a couple minutes, you can stay, but like feel free to respond to Jean's question in the chat if you would like. That might be a way to get around the time issue. But thank you so much for answering our questions, and thanks for being here.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Perfect. All right, we'll get right into it. Our next candidate is pinned on our screen already. Very nice. Everybody, this is Council Member Kashef Quaadri. He is running for re-election for Dublin City Council District 4. Kashef, you know the drill. We'll turn it over to you. You'll have 3 minutes. Whenever you're ready, you may begin.
All right, thank you, Richard. Hi, everyone. I'm Kashef Quaadri, running for re-election for Dublin City Council District 4. When I think about why I first decided to get involved in local government and think about running, it goes back to my family. About 9 years ago, my wife, our son, and I moved to Dublin. We were looking for a place to call home, and Dublin very quickly became that place. Before joining City Council, I served on the Planning Commission and other local regional boards. Then in 2022, about 4 years ago, I was given the opportunity to serve on the council. I was honored to serve as the vice mayor in 2025. Over the past few years, I focused on a few different things that were trying to make a real difference in people's everyday lives. Planning responsibly as Dublin grows, investing in our infrastructure and transportation, supporting public safety, and maintaining the parks and community spaces that make Dublin so special and such a great place to live. Also proud of some of the work that we've done to celebrate who we are as a community. In that vein, I've championed cultural events that recognize Dublin's incredible diversity. I believe it's the differences. These are the differences that we should be celebrating. We created a community safety fair to bring residents together with our police, fire, and public safety partners in a way that was useful and approachable, and actually connected people with the resources available to them. And then I've pushed for more transparency and accountability. That means using clear metrics to measure how we're doing with contracts, for instance, making our financial information easier for residents to find, and improving the city's website to make it easier to use and find the information that they need. But honestly, some of the most important parts of the jobs don't happen in a council meeting. They happen at youth sports games, talking with parents, at a farmer's market, hearing from a small business owner, at cultural celebrations, seeing families from different backgrounds come together, just talking with a neighbor who has an idea or a concern. And those conversations have really shaped how I approach this job. Dublin is growing, and we have some big decisions ahead of us. I want to make sure we grow thoughtfully, keep up our infrastructure, address traffic and safety issues, protect the quality of life that brought so many of us here in the first place. I'm running again because I think we've made a lot of progress, but I don't think the work is finished. I'm proud of what we've accomplished, grateful for the trust that the voters of Dublin have placed in me, and excited about what we can do next. And I would be absolutely honored to have your support and endorsement to keep working with you and the entire Tri-Valley to make Dublin even better. And I'll end with, let's go further together.
Thanks so much, Kashef. All right, let's start the 6 minutes. And if anybody has a question, feel free to raise your hand, drop it in the chat, and we will call on you. Does anybody have a question for Councilmember Quaadri?
I could start. So now that you've been on council for a while, what has been your biggest surprise with being on council?
I would say the biggest surprise, biggest two surprises. One is that they're not a whole, coming from a professional background, there are not a lot of KPIs, OKRs, metrics in the public sector. And I've really been pushing for more of that over the years. The second is somehow I've been able to connect particularly with the youth, and they've been inviting me to all sorts of events and everything. And I don't see myself as particularly young, but I appreciate the, them reaching out and connecting with me. And I try to do everything I can to try to get them at least mildly interested in politics, as dirty as it is.
Thank you.
Thanks, Jackie. Thanks, Kashef. Anybody else have a question for Kashef?
I think we know him too well.
Whoa, look at that. Everyone's quiet. Everyone's shy.
I have one, Richard.
Of course. Go for it, Ellis.
I'm not going to ask my normal question. What is your background? What's your day job? Tell us about your education, your growing up. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Sure, absolutely. So I was born in DC, grew up in Maryland, went to school out there, studied biology at Howard University. Kind of fast forward, I moved to the Bay in 2005. Have been first moved to Dublin, Fremont, and then in Dublin for about the past 9 or 10 years. By day, I am a scientist. I work at a local biotech company and focus on bioinformatics and genomics. So kind of focus on the analysis and data analysis and software side of things. As you can imagine, a lot of AI and a lot of interesting stuff. Also, as of yesterday, graduated with an MBA from Boston University. So excited about that. So a little bit of science, a little bit of business, and yeah. What else would you like to know?
That's real good. Thank you very much.
Okay, perfect. Thanks,
Totally.
Kashef. I could have sworn, Nathan, I saw your hand up, but also if you
I
wanted
thought his hand popped up for a second. Yeah.
Oh yeah. Since we still got a little time, I'm actually curious, since this is something I've been meaning to chat with you about. There's a joke that I've heard a lot of times around the Tri-Valley that like so much of Dublin's population are transplants from Fremont. And I'm really curious about what you think draws people, not just from Fremont, but just from all over the Bay towards Dublin, and all over the state towards Dublin. And what do you think might, like, where do you think Dublin is like filling in a gap, and where do you think Dublin might have some gaps that still need to be filled? Because I've had a lot of conversations with you about like community cohesion and making sure people feel like they belong, and I'm just curious about your thoughts.
Yeah. Sounds like a three-part question. So I'll start with my own personal story. We were living in Fremont. My mother-in-law lived basically across the street. She suddenly went blind in one eye and needed additional support. We couldn't find the right housing in Fremont, and so ended up in Dublin because they had the right situation for us. Worked out and absolutely love it. I think a lot of folks, just for reference, we were recently named the #1 place to live in California, which is a great accolade. speaks volumes to the hard work that everyone has been doing within the city and the partnership that we have. From what I understand, right, Dublin is a nice place. It's got great parks and services. It's a very safe place. The schools are excellent. It's very accessible. It sits at a nice crossroads, similar to Fremont. And generally a nice, quiet place to raise a family. And I think that's a major draw. I'll say where we are falling short is affordable housing. And for perspective, I think last time I checked, AMI for a family of 4 was at 150K, which is a lot of money. And so if you're less than 150K, then you're low income, which is wild. But you think about that sort of income and the housing that's available. So it's not just affordable, quote unquote, affordable housing, but it's accessible housing and making sure that we have a variety of product to meet different price points. I don't think we're doing a good enough job there. In the last Reena cycle, we were 600% commensurate with the growth that we've had. But then all of the other categories of housing were like single-digit compliance. And I'm going to stop there because I see another question.
Thanks, Kashef. Very astute. Sorry, Stephanie and Tom. We've only got time for one more question. Jean, go for it. If you want to unmute.
Yeah, I unmute. Okay, I have a couple questions and maybe there isn't enough time. One of the things is climate change is really important in the world. What is Dublin doing? What do you think Dublin should be doing to address climate change as a city and as individual people? And the other thing is well, that's it. Okay.
Sorry, Jean. Kashef, you can answer Jean's question.
Yeah, so in terms of climate control, I think there's a partnership that needs to happen with things like solar and solar batteries. I think we can be doing there to rely less on fossil fuels. We do have a climate action plan. Part of that is putting in more chargers for cars, electric cars, less reliance on fossil fuels. So trying to move over city cars and then trying to be more smart in terms of like LED lights and things like that. It's a combination of things. There's a lot that we can be doing, a lot that we should be doing to cut down on emissions. I think there's a lot of micro movements that we've had, and we have to be a little more ambitious.
Thanks, Kashef. Thanks, Jean. Sorry, y'all. We're asking so many great questions, and we just don't have time to fit everything in there. But Jean, if you want to type your question into the chat, any other questions you have, I'm sure Kashef would be happy to answer them in the chat. But otherwise, Kashef, we'll give you a minute for a closer. You can start whenever you like.
All right. Well, thank you so much for the opportunity to speak with you all tonight. I'm very proud of where Dublin is today, but I also know that there's more work to do. We need to be thoughtful about our growth, responsible development, public safety, and wellness, and creating a city government that works for the people and one that folks can actually reach out to and trust. I'm running because I deeply care about this community, and I believe the Tri-Valley is the strongest when we all work together. I would be honored to have your support and to continue serving Dublin with the same energy, openness, and commitment that has brought me to this point, and in this role of public service in the first place. I do see a question about ICE, and I'm just going to mention that very quickly, that I'm very anti-ICE, and I've been very vocal about that. I will continue to do so. We're an immigrant community, and we need to fight fight as it is. So thank you so much for being able to, for everyone's time. And if you have any other questions, feel free to contact me by email or my website.
Perfect. Thanks so much, Kashef.
Which is kasheffordublin.com.
There we go. All right. Thank you so much, Councilmember Kashef. And I know we are running a little bit behind. I'm so sorry to all the candidates behind, but I know Councilmember Mike McCorriston is here with us. Hello, Mike.
Good evening.
Good evening.
How are you?
We're doing well. We're doing fabulous. Mike is currently the city council member in Dublin for District 1. He is running for Dublin mayor. And Mike, you know the drill. You got 3 minutes for your opening statement, and I'll turn it over to you.
Great. Thank you and good evening to everyone. Mike McCorriston. I've been around for a while, 6 years, partially as a council member, partially as vice mayor, and I was also the appointed mayor. I'm running for mayor with one simple goal, and that's to preserve and enhance the quality of our Dublin residents. The foundation of my campaign is putting residents first, listening to them, following up, and getting results. I believe that's what should be important to the mayor. We're just not seeing that right now. I want to apply that principle to the issues that are concerning the Dublin residents. First, we have housing affordability. I've advocated and will continue to advocate for affordable housing solutions for families and seniors, including programs that have helped families become first-time home buyers, to enhance the city's ability to create affordable housing solutions. I also successfully advocated for doubling our in-lieu fees and increasing the required percentage for inclusionary housing for new developments. Second, public safety. Dublin's a new, big, dynamic place these days. It's grown tremendously. Public safety has become a top priority for our residents. Accordingly, we really need to have a comprehensive public safety strategy that includes both fire and police. Our first responders, they do need the resources. They need the equipment. Fire preparedness, we got insurance going on. It's also increasingly important, given Dublin's open space, it's grasslands and it's hillside neighborhoods. Third, infrastructure. We've talked about that tonight. We have a balancing act, though. Our infrastructure and services have to keep up with growth, while we need at the same time to protect our open space and our historic character of Dublin. As part of my plan, I'm focused on improving traffic, big issue, expanding transportation choices, and improving transportation systems connectivity between within the region. And I'd also like to bring up fiscal sustainability, right? This is where my experience matters. I bring in 40 years of finance experience, including managing resources of large public companies. Dublin needs to be proactive, not reactive about its finances. We need to look at revenues, scrutinize expenditures, and make sure our spending supports the services that our residents are demanding, particularly as we're heading into a time when there's potentially some structural deficits in the last 5 years. Ultimately, I believe leadership is about listening, making responsible decisions, and following through. It's about forming strategy and executing on it. I want Dublin to continue to grow and prosper without losing the quality of life that we've all come here for, right? So that's why I'm running for mayor, and now I'm fielding all your questions. I'm open to it.
Perfect. There we go. Thanks, Mike. All right. If folks have any questions for Mike, feel free to raise your hand, drop it in the chat. All right, Ellis, there we go.
Hey there, Ramona. You got Ramona there?
My wife is laughing because I get the first shot.
There's Ellis. How you doing?
But I'm going to give you one that you may find difficult.
Okay.
During your years on the city council, you've had to vote on things. Some stuff is no-brainers, but some stuff just rips your heart out, and you had to make a decision on it. Can you tell us about some decision that was difficult, how you came down, and what your thinking was, even though there was an argument on both sides?
I could get into domestic or I can get into international. I think one of the hardest things I found was when I became mayor and we were faced with some geopolitical events that we had to deal with. And we had some good intended people from all sides. We had protests coming in. We had a lot of things going on. And what I learned was it was important to listen to every one of them. The stories were compelling, Ellis. We've all heard them, right? And I had to be right there and listen to both sides, give everybody the opportunity and the fairness without going in and voicing my own. So I think one of the most important things I've learned is how to deal with people in very, very complex situations. And that was one of them. We can go on about housing and all of this, but that was about human life, Ellis. And that really hit me hard. And I hope that answers your question, right? The rest.
What issue? It's unclear as to what issue you're talking about.
Well, it was the whole Gaza thing and how we should divest,
Okay, I got it.
divest or not divest, and what side we should take. We must take one side or the other. No, we don't. So I spent a lot of time understanding both sides and finding solutions within Dublin where it wasn't impacting us, but we were addressing the issue appropriately. Does that answer the question?
Okay, I'm good.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ramona, go for it.
Hi, Michael.
Hey, Ramona.
I actually have two questions.
Okay.
One, there are actually two things that are concerning me, and one of them are the flock cameras, and they are here in Dublin. And I'd like your opinion as to those cameras.
Sure.
And also, there was a recent article, and it was in the news, that Dublin is the best city in California to live. Do you see a population growth as a result of that? And how would you address that?
That's going to be the easy question. I'll go to the hard question first, okay? First of all, flock's an F word, okay? But it's not a bad word, okay? It's a system that has been used successfully within the city and within other cities. Unfortunately, there's been breaches. There's been misunderstandings. In our city, we have very, very strict filters in place. And I made sure of this. When I was mayor, I actually met with the CEO before any of this of Flock. And I met with our staff. And I looked into what filters we do have and how can they be breached, right? But we have a series of these that have been put in place fairly recently to ensure that we're not sharing data with federal agencies. And there are other precautions too. But I'll tell you one thing, Ramona, if there are breaches, it's a whole different story. And we will take action accordingly. But we're using it as a tool. It's been a very effective tool. I always believe, and I think you know me well enough, where you look at things a little closer and you don't just jump on the bandwagon, right? And I know that there are some cities that had breaches and they took the appropriate action. And we would too if there were breaches as well. So I hope that answers your question. I want to have you give confidence in me that we have actually looked into this, and this is a big issue for Dublin.
Okay, thank you.
All right. The other thing is, to answer your question, this isn't the happiest place, according to Fremont, right? But it is a place where we have grown. This rating didn't happen overnight. This is something that has happened over time. We've had people who've come in from around the Bay Area, from different places. It started off as affordability, right? And then they contributed to the education system. And that got on to one more thing. Hey, we got a great education system that attracted more people. So the best place to live, Dublin, California, in the state, is a result of some hard work from parents, people coming in and being part of the community and committing their time to school systems and coming to council meetings and pointing out things that need to change. It's also a result of responsive council members who are listening to their constituents. So I think it's something that's happened over time. Okay, and I'm glad we're here. I'm glad we are where we are right now.
Thanks, Mike. And
Yeah.
thank you so much, Ramona. I know there were a couple more questions. We are at time and we're running a little bit over. Jean, if you wouldn't mind dropping your questions in the chat. I know Stephen has a question in the chat. Manav has a question in the chat. Mike, I don't know if you have a couple of extra minutes, but if you want to look at the chat and answer their questions in the chat, that'd be super appreciated. But before you do that,
Yeah.
we'll do a minute to close out with any last thoughts you might want to share with us. Your time begins whenever you're ready.
Sure. Thank you again for the opportunity to be here with you this evening and allowing me to share why I'm running for mayor. For me, the campaign comes down to one fundamental goal, as I've said, is preserving and enhancing the quality of life of Dublin residents. This means putting our residents first, listening to them and listening to their concerns and following through. And the most important thing is looking for results, okay? I believe the experience on city council that I've had, my professional background in finance, my commitment to affordable housing, public safety, responsible growth, fiscal sustainability, it's all prepared me well to lead Dublin through the challenges that we have going forward. So I'm very grateful tonight to the Tri-Valley Dems for your consideration, and I hope to earn your endorsement. And for more information, it's Mike for Dublin, Mike with the 4, Dublin.com. Thank you so much.
Perfect. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it.
All right, I'll go into the chat.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Love
All
it.
right. Thank
Great.
you.
Thank you, Mike. Before we move on to our next candidates, I know we've got a lot of great questions tonight for folks here. I'm going to implement some rules here. One is if you are asking a question, please try to keep it within like 20 to 30 seconds. If you're a candidate answering a question, please try to keep your answer within like a minute and a half, 2 minutes if possible. And then I'm going to start trying to prioritize folks who haven't had an opportunity to ask a candidate question just so everybody gets a fair shot. All right, perfect. Thanks, Mike. All right, where's our next candidate? Is Jamie here? I see Jamie's screen pin. Oh, there she is. Lovely. Hi, Jamie. Thank you for being here. We're going to move on to our Pleasanton City Council and mayoral candidates. And so first in that lineup is Commissioner Jamie Yee. So Jamie's a member of the Pleasanton Civic Arts Commission, and she's running for Pleasanton City Council District 3. And Jamie, in case you didn't know the format, it's 3 minutes for an opening statement. We'll give you 6 minutes for a Q&A with our membership, and then a minute for a closing statement. So your time will begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, thanks. I'm just trying to get my screen organized here. I don't use Zoom all the time, so let me see. Let me just get a little bit organized here. Sorry. I've got too many things open. Okay, I think I'm just going to wing it, I think. Okay. Hi, everybody. Long time no see, especially you, Ellis. I haven't seen you in a million years. Anyway, yes, I am Jamie Yee, and I am actually not a commissioner any longer. My term ended last April. So, but I have been a school board member for 12 years, and a lot of people here are new to me, so I'll start kind of from my beginning. So my family did move to Pleasanton in 1969. I did most of my schooling in Pleasanton, raised my kids here. They both graduated from Amador High School. I'm also a lifelong Democrat. My public service goes back for decades. I have voted Democrat ever since I was 18. Have not missed one single election, even when I lived in Europe. And as I said, I've been on school board, or I was on school board for 12 years. And during that time, I also served on the Tri-Valley ROP board, which is the body that runs the career technical education for the 3 cities. I did serve for 8 years on the Economic Vitality Committee, and I did 1 4-year term on the Civic Arts Commission most recently. And along with all of that, I really cut my teeth in community involvement by being in the PTA. I was one of the founding moms of the PTA Council and also spent 8 years at the state level on the Board of Managers. In my day job, I've worked almost 19 years for Alameda County Health. I work in the office of the agency director. I've worked on many legacy projects, but currently I'm on the communications team. And for those of you who don't know, Alameda County Health is the agency that runs all of the county's public health, behavioral health, environmental health. We also have a lot of different projects around homelessness. We run one of the largest youth centers on the West Coast. And I've done some really amazing work there. And I've always been a public servant. So being elected again is not something that is foreign to me. What I bring to the city council is experience, actual governing experience, understanding budgets, how public meetings work, working with the staff, always listening to the community. I've got an old school technique in how I deal with constituents, and that is picking up the phone or meeting up in person. I'm running because Pleasanton has some very important decisions ahead of us. We're in a time where we're just not having any new revenue, and we really need to work on that. We also have the housing issue that I heard the others talk about. And I think that I'm concerned most about our financial health and our structural deficit. I don't plan on ever moving from Pleasanton. I'm a lifelong resident, and I plan to die in this town as well. So these decisions definitely mean a lot to me. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Jamie, and apologies for getting the commission timeline wrong.
Oh, that's okay.
All right, folks, we have 6 minutes with Jamie here. If anybody has a question, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat. Does anyone have a question for Jamie?
I might as well ask one since nobody's asking anything. Let me start the timer first.
Oh, is this, I can't tell. I can't.
We're going to start the
Oh,
timer.
is it Jackie?
Yeah. Hi, Jamie.
Wait, let me put the timer on. Okay.
There we go. So what do you think is the biggest issue right now facing Pleasanton? If you had to name your very top priority of what you want to see get done in the city.
Well, I think first and foremost, we need to have a council that starts to be functional and can actually have productive meetings in public. That takes a group to be able to do that. So I think there's some kind of level setting of, norms and how we're going to run meetings together, because then that will just make conversations and decision-making go a lot smoother if the council can actually be a body that works together. I don't say they always need to agree, but to have good, robust conversation in public, I think is going to be very important. We definitely need to address the financial health of the city, and you can't really have those conversations if the council isn't acting, in a functional way. So I don't know if that really answered your question. I think you had a couple layers in there.
Oh, no, that's good. Thank you. I'll let
Okay.
others ask questions.
Thank you both. John, I thought I saw your hand up, but if you want, okay, there. Oh, John, did you still want to ask a question? It's okay if you didn't. Okay. Jean, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Okay, yeah, so your first thing you want to get done is to have the council work together. Work together to do what? Is it the financial things? What about also you're talking about changing perhaps your urban growth boundary and moving closer with housing towards the east to Livermore? What is your opinion about doing something in that line of the work?
Well, I mean, I think to do anything, whatever's on the agenda at the council, the body needs to be able to get along and have discussion and trust each other enough to have those conversations. So that's, whatever is on the agenda, they need to be able to function as a governing body. I think
Well, what do you think is your highest priority to get done once the council is working together?
Definitely working on the finances and the structural deficit that we have and digging into that a little bit more. I think that, what are our revenue streams? What are the different ways that we can get more money into the city without having a sales tax? Our property taxes have been a little bit stagnant because we haven't really had any new building. So what are our revenue sources? There's a lot of conversations that need to happen, and we need to prioritize what we need to work on as a governing body. But first, that governing body's got to be able to function well together.
Thank you, Jamie. Thanks, Jean. I see two more questions. There's one from Valerie and then one from John, and then I think we'll have to end it there. But Valerie asks, how do you feel about the current council majority not agreeing to bring a resolution forward to protest ICE in Dublin?
I think it is really unfortunate. I think that it's a way deeper problem. It's not something that we can really solve, but definitely making a stance in the community to say that we don't agree with a facility being in Dublin or anywhere for that matter. I think that it's maybe a topic that some of the members aren't comfortable talking about or maybe fully understand. I'm not really sure. And I think that actually they did make a resolution. Didn't I see something on the website where there is a resolution now about, wait, am I getting that mixed up? I think there is a resolution that just got put up on the website like last week. Valerie, you'll have to look. I think there is something up on there. But me personally, I think that we definitely need to make a stance, that this is just not acceptable, right? Any ICE activity is not acceptable. And there should not be a facility in Dublin or anywhere, in my opinion.
Thanks.
And I think, again, having those conversations and being able to have that discussion and have trust within our governing body will help us get to those kinds of decisions. But right now, things are just too divided and they can't even have a productive conversation. That's one of the issues.
Thank you, Jamie. John, I see your hand is up. Go for it.
Yeah, thank you. I was not going to ask this question, but at the last second, Julie Testa, also a lifelong Democrat, has thrown her hat into the ring to run for mayor against a person who's never been a registered Democrat and is supported by what I would call right-wing mega Republicans in the city. I've noticed that you're on Mayor Balch's list of people who have endorsed him. Are you willing to pull that endorsement down? And if so, or if not, why?
Interestingly enough, I was actually surprised to see my name on his list because he actually didn't ask me. So I haven't had that conversation yet. So, so that was kind of an interesting thing. I was kind of surprised to see my name up on there, John. But I do, as far as I can tell, I do support the mayor being mayor again. And I'm not really sure I understand your full question. Would I pull my endorsement because he's not a Democrat? Wait, what was the question?
Well, the election for mayor is between a lifelong Democrat and against somebody who has never been a registered Democrat.
Oh, I see.
So
yeah, I think that I am pretty good at working across the aisle, and I am a lifelong Democrat. So I will bring those Democrat values to the city council, no question. We don't have the luxury of being on governing bodies with only Democrats. We have to be on governing bodies with whoever is elected. So if I'm elected and he's not a Democrat, guess what? I'm just going to have to work that much harder to instill democratic values onto those on the council who aren't Democrats. In fact, if I'm elected, I believe that I will be the only Democrat on the council. So there's a lot of working across the aisle that's going to need to be done. And that's why I was saying in the beginning that really getting the body to work well together is extremely important.
Great. Thank you
Thank
all.
you.
Thank you. I know we're over time. Jamie, we'll give you a minute for a closing remark if you have any last final thoughts to share with us.
Okay. I'll just summarize by saying that, you know, I have been a lifelong Democrat. I have voted ever since I was 18. I've never missed an election. Even though I lived overseas, I still figured out a way to vote. And I have received this body's endorsement many times over the years. And I would be honored and very happy to get the endorsement again. I know that in the district that I am running in and that I will be representing, it is primarily Democrat. So I know that the Democratic endorsement would really mean a lot to the constituents and to me also. So I really appreciate your time and thank you to everything you guys do in the community. All this volunteering is just that, volunteering and taking up your personal time and your family's time. And I really do appreciate you guys for keeping this club going for as long as it has been going. So thank you.
Thank you, Jamie, and thank you for being here. You're free to stick around if you like, but you're under no obligation.
Okay, thanks.
Perfect. Thank you. And sorry, folks, I know we're running about like 10, 11-ish minutes behind. I'm sorry to the candidates. We'll try to get through everybody as quickly as we can. I know our next candidate, Reena. Is Reena here?
Yes, I am.
There she is. Okay, cool. We'll have Jackie. There we go. All right. Hello. Okay, so
Hey.
is here. Reena is also running for Pleasanton City Council District 3. And Reena, you know the drill. We'll give you 3 minutes for an opening statement, and your time will begin whenever you're ready.
I am ready to go. Okay, so good evening, everyone. I'm Reena Gupta. I'm running for Pleasanton City Council from District 3. A little bit about myself. I have been in Pleasanton for 15 years. My kids went to PUSD, both grads from here. Back in India, when I was growing up, I bring that value system because I grew up in a multi-generational home with 21 cousins. So community has been part of my DNA ever since I was born. After coming here, I have been an entrepreneur, built multiple companies, exited. That showed me how to solve problem, bring the creative, innovative, visionary mindset that I look at any problem and I try to look at from that lens. I been very fortunate to serve Pleasanton in multiple roles, from being a Pleasanton Leadership Graduate to Economic Vitality Commissioner, CTE Advisory Board, recent Pleasanton Connect Ambassador, who are in the mission of bringing human connection across the community, and we are working very hard towards that. I also am a founder of Mom Relaunch, which we have founded as my passion project, but we have launched over 250 moms without relying on grants and donations. I have been involved with a lot on the high school students as well. I've been teaching entrepreneurship. So when I decided to run for Pleasanton City Council, I thought I can bring everything that I have done from my experience from being an innovator, visionary, community connector, person who can bring in the youth voices and resident voices, everything connecting together. And I see that myself as the person who can be the advocate for Pleasanton on a global stage. I have been very fortunate to bring in delegations from across the globe to different, even I've brought in delegations to Dublin last year with South Korea with 50 people. So I have a passion to see Pleasanton be on the stage where when people are making decisions of where we live, where we do business, how we can raise family, where we can raise family with a good education. And I want to be that advocate and for Pleasanton on that global stage. I have been also working very hard on bringing the resident voices together, a system that I call as the civic engagement. So I've already built a system, been at farmers market, listening to them, knocking doors, listening to residents. I've been already collecting voices and presenting it to the city hall. You can see me present. I'm not waiting to get elected because I don't think we need to have a seat at the table all the time to do your work. I'm already serving and I will be honored to continue to have that position to serve. At the same time, I'm also working very closely with the students, college, high school students. They are writing articles about what it means to have a civic engagement. They're right, and we just published an article about the hotel tax. So I'm here to serve. I'm here to bring Pleasanton to the global stage.
Thanks so much, Reena. Appreciate it. Okay, let's see if we have any questions here. Nathan, did you have a question? Nathan,
Jackie first.
Jackie, go for it.
Hi, and thank you for joining us, and thank you for getting us all the documentation we requested from you. You jumped through hoops to be here today.
Thank you. Thank you.
I want to ask you, you recently changed from a declined estate to a Democrat. And can you describe why you chose to not declare a party originally, and what made you choose to switch to a Democrat?
Yeah, so a good question. I would say that I have been a voter in that role, and I always look at the issue from a perspective of when I look at the candidates and I look at what needs to be done as solving the problem. But when I started into running for this council seat, I look more closely with where my values align, whether it is women's rights, whether it is making sure the workforce is taken care of. Workforce has been my heart and soul. So more and more I look at it, I saw that the values align more with the Democratic Party. So I spoke to some of the advisors who are part of the Dem club, and they said, not club, but just the Democratic Party. But after talking to them, it seems like a better decision is to be aligned with this party.
Thanks so much, Reena, and thank you, Jackie. Does anyone else have a question for Reena? Feel free to raise your hand, put it in the chat. Nathan, go for it.
Yeah, hi Reena. Great
Hey,
to meet you
Nathan.
again in this
Yeah.
outside our 501c3 capacities. I'm really curious about your stance specifically on housing, given that Pleasanton
Absolutely.
is still catching up on its RENA goals. I'm curious, but particularly your stance on the redevelopment potential of the areas around Pleasanton's BART stations, as well as Hacienda and any other areas that might be suitable, particularly for higher density housing, particularly since those are the only housing options available, accessible to people of my generation.
Absolutely. So housing, as I stand, is absolutely a basic need for the workforce. And I go back and say that if the workforce is happy, like somebody was talking, making Dublin a happy place, I want to be working on that mission to make Pleasanton also a happy place and the best place to live. But housing is very important aspect of need for the workforce. So, but where to develop, what scale to develop, do we have the infrastructure to develop, do we have the water supplies, do we have the roads, all those things. That's why I use the word thoughtful housing. I know I always support working at a place where, or living at a place where you're working, but how can we make it possible without compromising on the character of Pleasanton, what stands for? You want to make sure that the housing is built in the right place at the right scale, taking into account with all the infrastructure needs.
Oh, great, thanks. And just a quick follow-up, since you brought up the water infrastructure needs in particular, how do you feel about the City Council's recent decision about the Arroyo development and the deal that they made with Zone 7 as well as Steel Wave?
Yeah, so from what I understand, the Arroyo Lago, it was not a decision of not doing the development. It was for whether the county does or are we going to do the annexation. And the council passed that with full majority with that. So yeah, I think it's the right decision to go with. And the things that I go back and say, could we have made a better deal with zones, the developers to get a better deal than what we have done? Of course, I'm a deal maker, I'm a negotiator. I would have also worked real hard to get a better value from it. But again, we have to make the decisions based on the options that we have. And Pleasanton did had the option of not doing the development from what I have studied and joined in the meetings. So yes, I think that's what the council have decided, and I fully support it.
Thank you, Reena, and thank you. Ellis, if you can make it quick, you'll be the last question.
Okay. You're running against Jamie, am I correct?
Yes.
Okay. Now, Jamie said that if she wins, or if you win, will be the only Democrat on the city council. That means that in order to get anything done, you're going to have to do a hell of a selling job. Tell us about you being a salesperson.
Absolutely. This is all I did on all my life. When you are running your own small business, the first thing you do is learn to sell. And I have now have started to joke is I've never had a job of a door-to-door salesperson, but I'm now going, knocking the door, listening to residents. I'm already collecting all the voices. When I go to the farmers market, people are now coming and say, oh, hey, I've already seen you there. I've already talked to you. Oh, I already have your card. That's the point. This is the card that we go and sell. I call it as the civic access card. This has a little QR code that you can just scan and share your voice all the time. So it's not only just part of the election, but making the civic engagement as the big part of, I call it as the collective brainstorming with the people whose lives are going to be impacted. We should not be considering only few people making the decisions. And if you look into it, there's so many topics that I've already spoken about in the city council. I've already have high school students writing about flock cameras, writing about hotel tax. Who can do better job than the students who are going to inherit this town and know what their future holds for them? It's our job to make sure that we leave a right legacy for them.
Thanks, Reena, and thank you, Alice.
Thank you very much. I was a door-to-door salesman, and that was a real good answer.
All right. Thank you, Alice. Thank you, Reena. That is unfortunately our time. We'll give you a minute for a closing statement if you have anything else you would like to leave us with.
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you once again for giving your evening. And it's been a immense amount of learning, just hearing others' perspective as well. So thank you for allowing me to stay here. I would go back and say my campaign is not just about city council. My campaign goes beyond bringing residents, the constituents at the table whose lives are being impacted, whether it is water bill, whether it is making sure the schools are not the schools in terms of, but how we can bring school and city collaboration there. I'm big on workforce development. I have not mentioned something about my work that I do in the workforce AI readiness. No matter how we talk about it, I teach at AI readiness at Tri-Valley Career Center. So I want you guys to think about me as the innovator, the visionary who can bring the connecting dots together. And you can think of me as the champion for Pleasanton who can go and sell Pleasanton or on a global stage for the place to live, place to do business, place to raise family, with the fact that we maintain Pleasanton characteristics and the historical thing that Pleasanton really stands up for.
Thank you, Reena. Appreciate you being here. Thank you for answering our questions, and thank you for being
Absolutely. Thank you for giving me the time.
Absolutely. And I will plug in Reena's website here in the chat. Julie, thank you so much for being patient with us. I know we're pretty over time, so thank you for being patient. Everybody, we're moving on to the race for Pleasanton Mayor. So we have Councilmember Julie Testa with us. She's running for Pleasanton Mayor, and Julie will give you 3 minutes for an opening statement. Your time will begin whenever you're ready.
Okay, well, wonderful. Thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to speak tonight. I've kind of lost track, but I think it's been over a decade that I've been a member of this club. So I am a lifelong Democrat, and I'm proud of the values that have guided me throughout my life: compassion, fairness, opportunity, accountability, protecting working families, investing in our communities. For the past 8 years, I've had the privilege of serving on the Pleasanton City Council. During that time, I've worked hard to deliver results for our community and to lead on some of the most important and complex issues that we face: budget, clean water, so many others. One of the accomplishments that I'm most proud of is spearheading the creation of and implementation of the Pleasanton Alternative Response Unit. This program has transformed how we respond to people in crisis and other vulnerable populations. Instead of relying solely on traditional law enforcement, we now have trained clinicians, professionals who can respond with care, compassion, and the right resources This has improved outcomes for individuals in crisis, strengthened public safety, and set a model for the Tri-Valley region. It has improved and indeed saved lives. I have also been deeply committed to addressing mental health through my work with NAMI, National Alliance on Mental Illness. I have advocated for greater awareness, support, and services for individuals and families impacted by mental illness. On the board of REACH, I have worked to create affordable housing opportunities for adults with disability, ensuring that some of our most vulnerable residents have access to stable, supportive housing and the dignity that comes with it. I have been instrumental in creation of a program that now provides showers and resources for unhoused residents in Pleasanton. So proud of that. It took 4 years and support from some of my colleagues. In addition to this work, I have served on regional boards and organizations where I have represented Pleasanton and the Tri-Valley, advocating on issues that extend well beyond our city borders. I'm running for mayor because I believe Pleasanton needs experienced, compassionate leadership, and that puts residents and puts residents and the long-term interests of our city first. I'm checking the time. We face real challenges: increasing costs, infrastructure needs, fiscal pressure, public safety, clean and safe drinking water. I believe democratic values belong at the local level. I'd be honored to have your support.
Thank you, Julie. Appreciate it. All right, folks, you know the drill. Put your hands up or your questions in the chat if you have a question for Julie. John, I see your hand up. Go for it.
So it appears that this mayoral race is going to get nasty. Jamie Yee has stated that she never approved her name on Jack Bulch's website of endorsements. And currently Jack Bulch in his, and I know he's not here to defend himself, but he is basically taking credit for all the heavy lifting that you have done to get the alternative response unit stood up. Just because he has voted for it, he's taking credit for that. He's well funded. I believe he has over $100,000 in his campaign chest. And my question is this: against such monumental resources that the current mayor has, what's your strategy to convince voters not to believe the lies and misrepresentations that him and his supporters are putting forward?
Okay, well, you know, my strategy is to run a clean campaign. It is unfortunate. We're already seeing it in the District 14 campaign going on, how money and outside money and special interest money can have a significant impact on local elections. Should be grassroots. I will be running a grassroots. I've always run grassroots elections. I've never raised even $10,000. When I've raised enough to pay for my signs and my requirements for my campaign, I've stopped taking donations. And I absolutely will continue to work at connecting with my community, putting a message out. And it's fair to say that there's a likelihood that things will get tense because Jack's last campaign was very contentious. But I will be honest. I won't overpromise, and I will run a clean money campaign. I won't accept endorsements or donations from special interests that will expect something in return. For example, I believe we need legislation. I've actually talked to our legislators that elected officials should not be accepting money and endorsements from unions that they are going to be negotiating contracts on. I believe I'm the only person who has made that commitment over my 8 years on the council, and I continue to do that. And I can tell you, it makes a difference. So let's just all try and keep it pleasant and positive as much as we can.
Thank you, Julie. Thanks, John. Valerie, I see your hand up. Go for it, Val.
Yes, hi, good evening, everyone, and thank you. I will get to a question, but I did work with Councilmember Testa on the City Council for my 4 years on the council. And you mentioned the ARU. I'm glad you mentioned that because that is a highlight of your accomplishments. But also some things you hadn't mentioned was your advocate for the homeless and with transitional housing, which you and I were the only ones on the council supportive of that. Our current mayor is absolutely not. Affordable housing, you have been an advocate for. Senior housing, you've been an advocate for. You and I both, and our current mayor is not, and he voted down senior housing on a project. The sales tax measure he was against, which you were in favor of, and our central committee
We get to
did.
the question. Sorry about
Okay,
that.
I'm almost there. Our sales tax measure was endorsed by the Central Committee. He is not a Democrat. He is a conservative. You know, we do need to support Dems. You're advocating for LGBTQ rights, and with the current mayor shaking hands with a homophobic guy in the audience that was against our Pride Month, was appalling. But this group needs to know that because he's not a Dem, he does not stand for democratic values, and Julie does. So my question to you is what I've asked Ms. Yee already, the ICE detention center possibility in Dublin. And I know you've you know, this has come to the public meetings twice now, I believe. Can you please comment on that?
Well, of course, I've been very outspoken in opposing the ICE detention center and very outspoken in asking our city council to at least have the discussion about a resolution. And by the way, no, we do not currently have a resolution from the city council. I believe what might have been referred to is there was a city statement that over a year ago, and I think there was discussion about reposting that, but that is certainly not coming from our city council, and it's not anything recent. It certainly doesn't specifically address the detention center. So thank you for all those comments. Yes, I don't think anyone who was, you know, involved at the time would question that I, with my background with NAMI, was working on a crisis response program with our city manager long before I was on the city council. And when he actually left the city, he did say, Julie, that's your legacy. It wouldn't have happened without you. So I will proudly, it's been a game changer. It serves not only.
Thanks, Julie. Thanks, Val. All right, our time is up, unfortunately, and so Julie will give you a minute to close us out if you have any final thoughts for us.
Okay, boy, there's so much that I would like to say, and I'd be happy to have conversation anytime. But I guess I'll just say, I believe democratic values belong at the local level. They mean building an inclusive community, protecting opportunity, being responsible stewards of our public resources, and ensuring that government works for everyone. I have spent 8 years as Pleasanton's representative, demonstrating through my actions what that commitment means to me in public service. Whether flying the pride flag, standing with you all at protests or vigils, or opposing the ICE detention center in the Tri-Valley. I respectfully ask for your endorsement because I have the experience and commitment to lead Pleasanton and to make sure that our city remains an inclusive community where all residents matter. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie. That was perfect. Thank you for being here, and thank you for fielding our questions. And feel free to stay if you'd like, but you're under no obligation. Okay.
Oh yeah, okay, great. Thank you.
Absolutely. All right, let's move on to the city of Livermore. We've got 2 more candidates tonight. Thank you, everybody, for bearing with us. I know Evan is here. If we can spotlight him.
Yes. Okay.
There we go. All right, Councilmember Evan Branning. So Evan is running for re-election in Livermore for City Council District 1. Evan, you've got 3 minutes whenever you're ready.
Before we do that, can I just state that Evan is running unopposed? So he, in essence, is already won. But we would love to still put our name behind Evan if he earns your endorsement tonight. So with that, I'll turn it over to Evan.
Hey, thank you. That sums it up pretty well. Honestly, I'm here because, of course, I'm a big fan of the club. So my name is Evan Branning. I am running for Livermore District 1. I'm a former president of the Tri-Valley Dems, and I know we've gone a little bit over time, so I'll keep it short. I appreciate all of you. I've really appreciated my time on council. I'm running for a second term, and I really would love your support. And I'll take a couple of minutes to answer questions, since I believe everyone on this call knows who I am.
All right, very nice. Thank you, Evan. Same drill, everybody. Raise your hand or put your question in the chat. John, I see your hand is up.
Yeah, thanks, Richard. So Evan, we just heard from Jamie Yee. I pointed out that her name is on Jack Balch's endorsement list. She says that she never approved her name to be put on his name. I've also noticed that your name is on current mayor, Pleasanton mayor's endorsement list. Did you approve putting your name on his endorsement list? And if so, why would you endorse somebody who's never been a registered Democrat over a lifelong Democrat? And will you remove your name from his list of endorsements? And why or why not?
Thank you, John. Yeah, absolutely. I endorse Jack for mayor of Pleasanton. I'm fully behind him and support him. So he does have my endorsement, and I'm proud to endorse him in that race. The reason I'm endorsing him is because of the two candidates running for mayor of Pleasanton. I think that one of them has worked very hard to move the city forward, to make sure that it is a open and welcoming place. And the other one has proposed policies that have harmed the residents of Pleasanton. So because of that, I stand by my endorsement fully. I don't think the party is that important, honestly, at the local level. Parties don't have a stance on who should build roads or housing or how we should treat the residents of our city. And so I'm happy to endorse someone regardless. He has currently no party preference and has shown that his policies align where I believe they should be and have been good for the city.
Thanks, Evan, and thanks, John. Any other questions? Any other hands?
Evan, I don't know if there's any other questions, but I don't think John is coming tonight as well. So after this, you might want to make a statement for John as well.
Sure.
All right, well, we're
Are there other questions?
Going once, going twice. Nathan, go for it.
Since we have candidates and incumbents from across the different Tri-Valley cities here, I'm just curious, Evan, if there's any areas of collaboration or any conversations that haven't quite started it yet that you would like to see started between our communities that you're hoping to push forward in your next term?
Oh, yeah. Thank you. Yeah, definitely. I've actually been talking to city staff, and I've been talking to council members, school board members throughout the Tri-Valley, really trying to figure out ways that we can work together more. So a really salient, immediate example is Livermore has hosted the Barrio Fiesta for, I believe, 10 years now, give or take. I don't remember exactly how long, but for quite a number of years. And they've been growing larger and larger. And so I reached out to city council members in Dublin to see if we can actually make it a Tri-Valley event where Dublin has a few large convenient locations near the freeway that we could actually get a larger population to be able to attend than we might be able to at some of the locations in Livermore, and promote it jointly with the three cities. So That's just one immediate example, but aside from that, I think actually one of the biggest strengths of the Tri-Valley is that as any of us grow and expand and promote, the whole Tri-Valley grows and expands and promotes itself. And so every opportunity I have where I can work with other councils, where I can work with other school boards, where I can work with other elected officials to try to promote the entire region, I take. And I'm not just, I mean, I am elected for Livermore. I stand by Livermore. I think, I believe Livermore is the greatest city and I love living here. But I also think the Tri-Valley is amazing and we all can do better together. And the more we work together, the better.
Thanks, Evan. Thanks, Nathan. Jean, I see your hand.
Richard, I'm sorry. I can't find where to put my hand up. I'm not on my computer today. So I'm less familiar. I believe that an accusation was made against me, and I'd like an opportunity to ask Evan to respond and explain that. Evan, you've made false allegations about me in the past. You said that that I'm sure it was me that you were referring to when you said one of the mayoral candidates has policies that have harmed our residents, my residents. I want you to explain that because that's a pretty strong thing to say.
I'm happy to. As people may know, I'm also the president of the Pleasanton Teachers. One immediate example is Julie has worked very hard throughout her career to oppose housing in Pleasanton. Pleasanton currently is down roughly 3,000 students from our cap. Our budgets are not doing great because of the declining enrollment, and the declining enrollment is a direct result of reduced housing. I'll leave it at that because I believe Jean has a question and I'm running out of time.
Well, I want to respond to that. I have never been.
Really sorry. I want to make sure that we stick to the timeline that we've outlined for everybody because we just cut Jean off. I do want to make sure she gets
All
in
right.
her question. Julie
Evan has
noted-
once again made false allegations. Okay.
Well,
thank you. I appreciate. I will. Yes, defer to you.
All right. Thank you, Julie. Yeah. Jean, go for it.
Okay, well, you might want to let Julie talk again because I was very interested in why Evan thought that the present mayor was so wonderful. Because from what I've heard, he isn't wonderful. I don't live in Pleasanton, but I would like you to explain why you are endorsing him and think he is so wonderful.
Jean, I'm sorry. I'm gonna cut this off just because
Okay, that's fine.
This question has been asked and answered, in my opinion, and so thank you very much. Appreciate the question.
Do you want to give Evan a 1 minute closing and maybe he can address whatever he'd like to in it?
Thank you, Jackie. Evan, we'll give you a minute for any closing remarks you may want to make.
Sure. Thank you. I agree. I don't feel I need to elaborate further on the things that I've said. I really want to just say that I appreciate everyone who is here. I appreciate the work I've been able to do regionally with other councils, with other school boards, and I believe we're in a great place. I want to thank Jackie and Richard for hosting this forum. I'm really glad that both of you have been amazing leaders of the Tri-Valley Dems. And I look forward to 4 more years of working with the Dems and making sure that all of us can continue to make the Tri-Valley the best place it can possibly be.
Thanks, Evan. And Evan, I don't know if you wanted to follow up on Jackie's request at all to talk on behalf of Mayor Marchand, but no pressure at all if you don't.
Sure, I'll be brief because talking on his behalf. I've worked with Mayor Marchand for a very long time. Funny fact is actually Mayor Marchand is the one who officiated my wedding when I got married. So I've known him for a long time. Mayor Marchand has been a proponent of affordable housing. He's been a proponent of moving Livermore forward, making sure we're economically vibrant, making sure that we have the beautiful downtown that we do. Under his leadership, I think Livermore has grown in a way that sustains the quality of life, character, and culture of Livermore. And I believe that we should endorse him as a club because he's been a fabulous mayor, in my opinion, and really continues to show strong leadership in Livermore.
Thank you so much, Evan. We won't have you field questions from folks just because you're not John.
It would be a little tricky. I can pretend, but I don't think it'll work.
I don't know that it'll work, but thank you, Evan. I appreciate it. And thank you for fielding our questions and for being here.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. We have one more candidate tonight. Thank you, Marisol, for being so patient with us. Councilmember Marisol Rubio, if we can pin her, there she is. Councilmember Marisol Rubio represents District 4 in San Ramon, and she's now running for re-election. Marisol will give you 3 minutes for an opening statement, and your time will begin whenever you're ready.
Okie dokie. Thank you so much, first and foremost, for inviting me to join you this evening. It is my honor and privilege to be here with you again tonight. I have had the privilege to be part of the Tri-Valley Dems now for over 10 years. And it's just, this is a very important club locally, and I've always been very supportive of our initiatives here because we are a very important voice that brings democracy and justice at the forefront of everything that is happening in our community. In San Ramon, I've had the honor and privilege, as many of you may know, let me go back 1 second. Before I started on the council, I served on the water district and had the privilege of learning a lot there about the complexities of water management. I'm sure Pleasanton was just discussed. They know very well some of those challenges, very difficult to contend with that. And then later on, serving on the council, I've been now serving there and had the success with bringing free childcare for the first time. That was a personal initiative that I led and succeeded in securing for our low-income families that will be coming and moving to San Ramon. And I also was able to initiate the first ever Climate Sustainability Advisory Committee, which is going to really help us cope with the challenges that we're going to face as the city continues to grow and build out over the next few years. So from here, all I can say is, San Ramon's a very vibrant a city. It's growing, and it's just, I'm excited to see where it's actually going. We have a lot of things planned on the horizon, and I think it's going to be a very it's a desirable place to live, and I think many people talked about Dublin being San Ramon. I love you guys, but San Ramon's also #1 in the nation for quality of life. So according to Social Progress Map, which compared us to 500 cities across the country. So we're a great region is what I'm saying. We are a great region. We have great representatives here. So I can totally understand if making decisions this evening is difficult. So that's it. Thank you so much, Richard.
Thank you, Marisol. All right, we have 6 minutes here. If anybody has a question for Marisol, feel free to raise your hand or put it in the chat. Ellis, I see your hand up. Go for it.
Great to see you here, Marisol. It's been over 10 years that we've been together politically. I wonder about the buildings that I see going up in San Ramon. Right near where I live on Crow Canyon, there's a big complex going up. Then I go around the corner to Kaiser, and across the street from them, there's all of these buildings, and all of the buildings behind the Central Park area. What are the challenges that San Ramon is facing with all of this new building and hopefully new residents pretty soon?
Right.
What are the big challenges?
So one of the things, we are following our general plan that has outlined creating density in the city core. So we are sticking to that. We're building infill mixed-use development to make sure that we have a balance between residential and commerce, businesses there. It's important because to have that balance in terms of our revenues in the city and jobs. Also, so a lot of those developments, a lot of people don't realize is that a lot of our school districts, especially the San Ramon Valley Unified, we actually have an under enrollment of students. And so a lot of our development in San Ramon, over 60% is going to be affordable housing. And and in that affordable housing, we have half of it dedicated to families. And these families are important because they are going to bring children into the district. That's going to help, obviously, as you know, the local control funding formula works by per pupil. And so it's something that actually will help our cities, our school district, and in terms of our traffic, you know, we are actually have done a pretty good job, I think, managing our traffic in San Ramon. With the bridge, we save 3 hours per day of red light stop traffic right there where the bridge is. And we are also got a $2 million from Dissonier to cope with fiber optic traffic management. So we're doing a lot of things to help. We also got 3,001 contract and a total of 6,000 per unit from our developer to help with in lieu fees, to help with beautification and amenities like social, like basically the services that we have in the city to make sure that we can maintain the Iron Horse Trail, that we, you know, our library stay solvent, and that as the demand goes up, that, you know, basically these developers have to be stakeholders in the matter. You know, if they want, you know, people to keep San Ramon being a desirable place to live, they have to pitch in. And fortunately, they have been very good partners with us on that, to that end.
Thank you, Marisol, and thank you, Alice, for the question. Does anybody else have a question for Marisol? Feel free to raise your hand, put it in the chat.
Sharon has one also.
Hi,
Okay.
Marisol. How many people do you estimate moving into San Ramon with all this new development?
Well, you know, most of the development is really over the next 20 years or so. So it's not going to happen overnight. I know it feels like that, but it's not going to happen overnight. But certainly, you know, there will be a substantial increase. I wouldn't be surprised if we surpass 100,000 people in San Ramon. We are already a medium-sized city. We are the 4th largest city in Contra Costa. And so I would, you know, we currently are at about, we're nearing 90,000, but since the census, and so I anticipate we will certainly pass 100,000.
Okay, thank you.
Of course.
Thanks, Sharon. Marisol, we have an anonymous question that's sort of a follow-up to that. Will public transportation keep up with the planned growth of the city core?
Absolutely. So I actually serve on County Connection and have been talking with them proactively about increasing their frequency of stops within the city of San Ramon, and also talking about how do we close the gaps in that first and last mile to make sure people can get to stops, and also our paratransit and Go San Ramon services. The good thing is that there's also, we are in discussions with County Connection about making adjustments as the city continues to grow out, and demand will hopefully increase because we actually want more riders, not drivers.
Perfect. Thank you, Marisol. Any other questions? Going once, going twice, 2.5. All right, perfect. Oh, Nathan has a question. Go for it.
Nathan,
Hey,
hi.
so hey, since we were on this whole conversation about development, I feel it fair to ask, since I've also asked similar questions of like Dublin and other cities.
Sure.
Can you shed some light on the Eden housing development going on over in San Ramon?
In what capacity?
Just how are you feeling about it? How's it going? Not all of us are educated about it.
Oh, okay. So far it's actually going really well. They secured the financing that they need to move forward. They also, as I mentioned in my introduction, I made a hard ask out of them, asking them to guarantee there's a
Go
timer
go
going
for
off.
it, Marisol. You can ignore that.
Asking them to please ensure that we had free childcare that also was available to children with disabilities. As a mother, single parent who raised a child with chronic illness and disabilities since infancy, I could not get childcare for my daughter because she had a history of seizures. And so the importance, they have great wraparound services. Eden does a great job on this front, but I had to ask them, the one thing that was missing was childcare, and San Ramon had no free or low cost childcare whatsoever. So this ask was fortunately honored, and they came back about 3 or 4 months later and confirmed that they had secured the grants they needed to also bring that forward.
Thanks, Marisol.
Yes,
Amazing.
of course.
Thanks, Marisol. And that's all the time we have for questions, but we'll give you a minute here to close this out with any final remarks that you might have.
Well, I just want to say thank you again for having me here. It's always an honor and a pleasure to see all of you. I appreciate each and every one of you for what you do for our community, because it really takes all of us to make this region what it is. It doesn't happen because of one of us. And I just also want to sincerely thank you for your time tonight, and I humbly ask for your support. Tri-Valley Democratic Club has been really near and dear to my heart and very supportive of me throughout my elected office history. And I hope to earn your endorsement tonight again. And feel free to reach out to me anytime. I'm available. My website, I'll make sure to put my website in the chat afterwards. But happy to talk with you one-on-one if you'd like. And that's it. Thank you so much for having me this evening.
Thank you so much, Marisol. And yes, that'd be great if you can plug your website in the chat. Thank you so much.
And Marisol, we also had Richard Adler could not attend tonight, but we do have him on the ballot. Did you want to say anything in behalf of your council member, your council mate?
I will do my best, because Richard is one of a kind. I truly just have, Richard is just a wonderful, amazing person. He has a big heart. And I think as elected officials, number one, everything we do should come from a position of compassion and love and respect for our community, and really wanting something better for the next generation. And Richard understands that. He is somebody that has serves on the Rotary. Even as he's serving on council, he's still showing up to those meetings every single week. And he just really loves the community. He's been giving, really involved for almost 20 years with the community. And you know, he didn't just, wake up one morning and say, gee, this would be a great idea. He truly is committed to the city of San Ramon and its residents. So I hope you will support him as well.
Thank you. And I'll let Richard close up the ballot, explain the ballots tonight. They have already been emailed, hopefully.
Great. Thanks, Jackie. And Marisol, thank you for being here. Perfect. All right, so that does it. Thank you all for staying overtime, and I know that was pretty long, but hopefully you all got to hear from some great candidates. As Jackie mentioned, ballots either should be going out or should have already gone out. If you are an eligible voting member, meaning per our bylaws that you paid your dues at least 28 days in advance of today's vote, then you should be getting a ballot or have gotten your ballot. I have gotten messages from some folks that there is no endorsement option on the ballot. Jackie, can we check on that?
Endorsement. So what the ballot is, you put in your email, your full name, and then there's several questions. Do you endorse? So it'll say, do you endorse, for instance, incumbent John Marchand? It's a yes or no. So you vote yes or no, or if you wish not to make a vote, you abstain. In the case where we have multiple candidates, for instance, in Pleasanton City Council 3, you can only vote for one because there's only one seat. So you have the choice of Jamie or Reena. So you vote for one or the other, or if you wish not to vote, you abstain.
No, well, Jackie, for those contested races, there should be a no endorsement third option because no endorsement and abstain are not the same thing.
Well, it's yes or no. There's a yes and a no.
For contested races, though.
Well, you can do yes or no on anybody. I mean, let's say somebody doesn't want to endorse John Marchand for whatever reason, even though he's uncontested, you could
No.
still vote no.
Jackie, no, what I'm trying to say is in a race where there are multiple candidates, if somebody does not wants to make a no endorsement on both candidates or multiple candidates, not
Oh, I see what you're saying. In both candidates, they not only wish to abstain, but they wish to vote no on both of them.
correct.
Okay, stand by.
All right, thank you, Jackie. So we'll fix that ballot. We'll add an option there, and we'll have the ballot resent out for eligible voting members. Thank you.
No in
Possible to vote yes on both.
no. You can
No.
only vote for one person if there's one seat.
Okay.
So the new ballot for contested races, well, actually, Jackie, can we just add this for all races? Oh, wait, right, yes.
It does have it because it says no. I could change the wording to no endorsement if that's clear.
Can we just change the ballot so that the format for the question is the same for instead of doing this yes, no, if it's one person, and then the three options if it's multiple, like, can we just do who do you
Yeah,
endorse?
that'll take me a minute. Stand by.
Okay, sorry about that. Thank you.
John.
The question is, how much time do we have to return the ballots?
Great question, Jeff. Usually we close the deadline the following day midnight. So in this case, because we're having this meeting on a Wednesday, we'll close the ballot tomorrow, Thursday at 11:59 p.m. So you have,
Thank you.
yes, you have 26 hours to vote. All right, perfect. And if you are an eligible voting member and you don't end up receiving your ballot tonight, please email us. I'll drop our email into the chat. We want to make sure that you get your ballot if you are eligible to vote. Nathan, yes, you have a question.
Yeah, thank you for the catch there, Richard. Because yeah, I made the same mistake before, Jackie, so it makes total sense. But yeah, I've already gotten a couple texts from folks who are worried about the lack of a no endorsement option. So when the correction is made, may I please request that we re-email re-blast the ballots so people are clear that we're allowed to re-vote as if necessary.
Yes, we will resend out the ballots and we will make that clarification.
Thank you. You know, I hate giving you extra work.
Gosh, darn you.
Love you, Jackie.
It's okay. So what I have the ballot looking like now is, why don't you refresh your screen, somebody, and take a look and see if it's satisfactory now before I reblast the email.
Hey,
I think
Richard,
I think it's good now.
Yeah.
I have a question. Does the ballot go out to every club member or just those who participated in this session?
We've been, for this election cycle, in the past, we've required people to be here. But for this entire election cycle, for the past year and a half or so, we've been providing digital ballots to all of our members and giving them a 24-hour period to complete it. And that came from, in the past, somebody didn't see somebody on camera and was questioning, were they really there? And, I wasn't going to make people turn on their cameras in their pajamas and stuff like that. So we ended up going to digital ballots.
And correct me if I'm wrong, I do believe per our bylaws, eligibility requirements, I know for a fact eligibility requirements are you need to have paid your dues at least 28 days in advance of the vote, but attendance at the actual endorsement meeting is not an eligibility requirement.
Correct. And there's one exception on that 28-day rule. If you have been a club member, like you were a club member last year, you've been a club member and you just didn't renew, you can renew, because we've had people renew the night of votes in person. But if you're brand new, and the reason we came up with that 28-day rule is because people would get a bunch of people to join the club just for an endorsement vote, and then we'd never hear from them again. So you have to be a member at least 28 days.
Great. Thank you for the clarification.
And I
do
think I
I
have the
know-
ballot good now. If you guys can verify it for me, and then I'll reblast. This
So
is
Some way to know that my dues are paid up? I have no idea.
who's this speaking?
Hi, Jean King.
Hi, Jean. Let me look. Yes, you're current. You should have gotten an email.
Oh, I did get an email. Okay, all right. So that proves I'm a member. Okay, thank you.
You're good to go.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? I'm going to email everybody again. I provided my cell phone number as well. If there's any problem with ballots, feel free to call me tonight or tomorrow. The ballots will be open till tomorrow at midnight. So
Do the ballots that we have open now work, or should we wait for new ones?
no, they work. I update it real time. It's the same ballot. It's just
Okay.
people may, what I should do is, let me look and see if anybody voted yet. If I need to
Yeah, I'm just at
sure
the
that
top.
people were confused and want to vote. Let me take a quick look at the ballot again. Sorry.
While Jackie, while you're doing that, why don't we have officers give their reports if possible? We can come back to you if you're working on ballot stuff, but
There actually has been a few people that have responded. Brian, Eileen Barr, Charlie Jones, Nathan, but you weren't confused, right? Adeline Lee and Valerie Arkin. I'll just resend it with clarification. If anybody wants to re-vote, I'll look for their later vote and I'll purge the first one.
yeah, Jackie, I think that's probably for the best if we can just send out another email and say this is the real ballot.
Okay, it's the same
Thank you.
ballot.
Right.
Clear.
Yes.
I just changed some wording in it.
Okay. Perfect. While Jackie's working on that, I can help.
Okay, I got a quick question. Hello, Richard. I just wanted to quickly ask, for this membership, because I heard that on social media that our dues have to be paid by today or something. So I saw it. But typically speaking, I just want to say I'm just mostly like I'm coming here today because I was coming here for the candidate forum, but right now, I'm not too concerned to be having an active membership here because it won't work well for my schedule right now because I don't have much time because my schedule is very tight right now. So I might not have enough time to come to all the meetings activities in order to be an active member. Yeah.
Thanks, Golden.
Okay.
There's no requirement on per our bylaws of attending a certain number of events, I don't believe.
Right. I think sure. Yeah, but most I came today, the main reason was because it was a candidate forum was the main reason for today.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for being here. Okay, any other questions regarding ballots, eligibility, voting? Okay, cool. Well, if you have any questions, feel free to drop them in the chat, or I also dropped in the chat our email, tvdemsmedia@gmail.com. Feel free to email us if that's easier, and we will make sure you get a ballot if you are eligible to vote. Otherwise, while Jackie is working on the ballot, I can go ahead and usher us into officer reports to close us out. Ellis, as secretary, let us know if you have a secretary's report.
My secretary's report is that AI records these meetings and Jackie sends out a copy of it, and it's also on YouTube. But also in my secretary's report, some of you might have heard that on August 8th, we were at a demonstration in Pleasanton on Hop Yard and Valley at the park, and walking back to the car with two beach chairs under my arm, I got into a street fight in the street one, and I fell on my face over my feet and broke my shoulder. And this is a sling that I'm wearing. I won't be able to do the duties of secretary of the club. And if somebody else would like to take over those duties, I would be glad to relinquish the position. At this point, I'm ready to not be an officer in the club after 23 years. And it's been my pleasure to serve, and will do whatever I can for the club. And if I can, I'll remain political director and advise the club politically and make political contacts. But thank you all for coming to this meeting, and good meeting. And I feel that I've handed the club off to some very capable people, Jackie and Richard and Alan also. Thank you all.
Thank you.
And Sharon, thank you too.
Alice, thank you so much. We're sorry to see you go, but you have served the club so well. I'm speaking.
I'm not going away. I'm just not going to be the secretary. Okay.
Thanks.
All right,
Alice.
guys. Okay, all right, guys. It's good seeing you. I gotta get going now. See you. Bye. Have a great day. Talk to you soon.
All right, thanks. Alice, really appreciate the words, and of course, we're thinking of you. Alan, I don't know if Alan is still on, but oh yes, Alan is there. Alan, if you would like to give a treasurer's report.
Certainly would. We haven't had a treasurer's report in several months because we haven't had any meetings in several months, but nothing happened. We had income of $50 in dues. We paid credit card expenses of $2.50. McNerney finally cashed the check from the Christmas party, which was $400. And we had an expense for media of $65.97. Our total expenses were $468.53, which means for the last 3 months, we went down a total of $418.53. Our beginning balance was $3,731.74. We had net loss of $418.53, and our current balance is $3,313.21. Year to date is really very similar to last year. There's not a whole lot there. And as far as compared to last year at this time, we had $2,700. This year we have $3,300, so we're doing better there. A couple things as far as dues. It's been sort of my policy and what's happened that if you're a new person joining and you join in September, that will count for the rest of the 2026 and your 2027 dues. We just add it because there's nothing of the year left. So we've done that the last couple of years, and I think that's pretty fair. Anybody have any questions? Thank you very much. Been a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Alan. Jackie, I'll turn it over to you if you have anything you want to say.
I do want to say that at the end of this year, we will be, or actually January of next year, we will be holding elections for this club. So as Ellis mentions, he's going to step down from being secretary right now. There's other positions, the president, the vice president, secretary, the treasurer. And at the end of this year, it's my job to try to recruit folks for these positions next year. So put that in your hat. You know, if you want to lead the TV Dems as president, or you think you can, you know, come up with a better process for endorsements, you know, we encourage you to seek to run for office for this club. So president, vice president, treasurer, secretary, all of those things will become available. We will vote on that next January. So if you're thinking about becoming club leadership, let me know. We need you. And that's all I have, Richard.
Thanks, Jackie. I have no report, as per usual. But we do have Victor here. I don't know, I don't want to put you on the spot. I feel like I'm always putting you on the spot. But Victor, if you have anything you would like to add or share from the party, please go for it. We'll give you some time.
Why, Richard? Why would you do this to me? From the party, I mean, it's never too late to talk, or never too early to talk about ADEMS. So as you all know, ADEMS will be coming up in January, February of next year. The application process for that is going to open up in December. So be on the lookout. Obviously, the party won't bring it up until after the election, but it always sneaks up on us. So you might as well start thinking about it now. In regards to the
Victor, for folks that aren't real familiar with the party's terms, what's the definition of ADEMS?
Yes, so ADEMS stands for Assembly District Election Meetings. So in the California Democratic Party, there's 3 ways for you to be a state delegate. You can either be elected / appointed by your county party. You can be appointed by an elected official, specifically a Democrat congressperson, state senator, state assembly member, or the top vote getting Democrat in those 3 offices. Or you can be elected every 2 years by your fellow Democrats in your assembly district. So all 80 assembly districts will have 14 positions available. 7 self-identified females, 7 other than self-identified females will run for this. Only registered Democrats or no, I don't think they've implemented the change. There was a discussion about having folks who are not eligible to be registered Democrats but would be registered Democrats to participate in voting. I don't think they fixed that yet. But if you are you know, not eligible but would like to run for the ADEM seats, you can. You just can't vote for yourself or vote for your slate. So yeah, so that's another opportunity to get involved in the party. Highly recommend it if you're not already a delegate. So yeah, besides that, there is like a new policy in place in regards to elections. So as of right now, the state party doesn't have a fix yet on cross-county endorsements. So there are multiple positions. I think there's over 400 positions across the state where it's shared across county lines. And I know Alameda and Contra Costa County have quite a few of those. Unfortunately, the party still does not have something in place to deal with those. So as of right now, what they are suggesting with a party memo is that either all of the counties work together to do a joint endorsement town hall, or they allow the majority county to kind of just decide and deliberate for the other counties. So that was something that they just released a couple of days ago. So it'll be interesting to see how all the county chairs will collaborate and decide that right now as we're all going through the endorsement processes. And then also the party for those counties that were that applied for it, they should be receiving the endorsement placard / mail pieces next month. So if Alameda County Democratic Party, if they signed up for it to get like the walk piece or the mailer piece with all of the endorsements from the party and that little insert section to include local endorsements, you should be expecting those soon. And then obviously they'll provide that to all of the charter clubs to use for your walks that you'll be doing in your communities. Trying to see. Besides that, there's ongoing trainings. So if y'all are interested, the party is, I think, every month doing some type of training on like a key issue or a key skill to be learned. You can sign up for that. Let me see. There's a link tree. I'm gonna see if I have the link that I can drop in the chat. But on there, it has everything that the party is currently working on. So I think it's linktr.ee/cadem. Yep, here we go. This is the one-stop shop, anything related to the California Democratic Party. So when we're talking about like political shifts, when we're talking about trainings, when we're talking about like getting up to date on what's going on at the state level, this is your go-to spot to check that out. So highly recommend you have that bookmarked on your computer or on your favorite browser and just periodically check that out. So yeah, besides that, we did recently have an executive board meeting in San Diego. I don't know if that was already discussed to the club at all.
No, the e-board wasn't discussed.
Okay, I mean we can talk about that. So so outside of the annual convention or supposed annual convention, we do have executive board meetings, so usually about 2 to 3 per year. This is where the body is able to continue conducting work outside of the conventions. The only folks eligible to like vote and participate in the general sessions there are executive board representatives and their proxies. So we did have that happen. The big changes or things that happened. So the party did endorse Ben Allen for insurance commissioner. That happened by 3 votes. So he got 3 votes over 60%.
And Victor, why did they do that endorsement outside of the convention? Was it certain races that were close? So why did they redo that endorsement?
Yeah, so they redid it because no Democrat got the party endorsement last time. And when there is a race where there's 2 Democrats that make it to the general election, it then gets sent to the executive board or it gets sent to an endorsing caucus, and then those folks will vote on if we as a party will endorse in it. And so since the insurance commissioner was the only race where that happened, and it's a statewide race, that's why it was sent to the executive board for all of the e-board representatives to vote. And at that process, 60% of the e-board reps that are signed up to vote have to vote for a candidate in order for them to get the state party endorsement. So that's what happened for that. There is multiple congressional, state Senate, state assembly seats that were in similar situations where not a Democrat was endorsed or there was multiple Democrats that made it to the general election. And so they had endorsing caucuses that happened before the executive board meeting with the eligible delegates in that area, and then they voted to approve it at the general session for the executive board meeting. I think the only race that happened for was, I think, Paul Seo, who I think was a state senate race down in SoCal, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, besides that, what was it? They also consider legislation. I think all but one of the bills we took a position of support. There was also multiple resolutions I think everyone voted to support. There was also the propositions. The biggest one obviously was Prop 40, which was the billionaires tax. That one was rather contentious. There was a motion to support, which failed. There was a motion to do, I think, no endorsement, which failed. Then there was a motion to reconsider supporting Prop 40, which passed. And then it narrowly passed for us to take a position of yes on Prop 40. That was very interesting to see the dynamics and the arguments that were had for that one, as well as some of the other polled propositions that we dealt with. Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. If there's anything else I can't think of, but I remember, I'll send it to you, Jackie or Richard, and you guys can share that with the club members.
Thank you.
Yeah. Any questions? I think I see Alice has a hand raised.
Real quick, I wanted to tell those members that aren't familiar with the ADEMs that it's very costly to be an ADEM. You have to travel to wherever the convention is, pay for your hotel or motel, or stay with friends, and pay for your meals while you're there. And it's over a 2-year period, so you can think of going to 2 conventions if you're elected as an ADEM or if you're appointed as an ADEM. But keep in mind, the cost can easily be $1,000 and probably more.
All right.
That's it.
Thank you. I think those are all of our officers and regional director. Oh yeah, sorry. If I forgot to mention, Victor is our wonderful Region 6 director of the California Democratic Party. And we love the work that he does, and we love that he is here. Okay, cool. I guess we'll open it up for general membership. If anybody has any questions, if anybody still has a question on ballots or voting or whatever, or if anybody just wants to make any announcements, this is open floor, open discussion. Feel free to raise your hand, come off mute. John, sure, go for it.
So, in the last week, I listened to a 1-hour program that was on public radio. The Commonwealth Club of San Francisco had the former chair of the Democratic Party speak for about an hour on basically his effort and the Democratic Party's effort of really turning around the state of Wisconsin from going from a super red state under Scott Walker, gerrymandering to the Republican benefit, and how he really turned the tide through a strategy. And I'd recommend that everybody listen to his presentation that he gave. And what he said was that, the Democratic Party, to really get traction, it starts with these local bases, local elections, city councils, school boards. And he said that the Democratic Party really had gotten away from that. And basically, he says, if you look at Florida and you look at Wisconsin, Wisconsin was able to implement a strategy to get to Wisconsin to where it's, leaning Democratic, whereas Florida had no strategy, and of course, it's deep red mega supporters, certainly for the next generation of my lifetime. Anyway, I found it very informative, and I think that it would be a benefit for everybody to take 45 to 50 minutes out of their busy schedules and listen to, his strategy and his presentation.
John, you sent that to me and I haven't watched it yet. I will watch it and I will send it to our members in our next notice so that they
That'd be great. Thank you. Like I said, I found it very informative.
Thanks, John.
Jackie, I'll turn it over back to you.
I'm actually done. I think I've checked the email twice. I'm like Santa Claus, check my list. We got Isabel's email wrong every time. I don't know why, but somehow we mess up Isabel's. I sent that to Alan, so maybe it's probably wrong on the roster, I think. And I keep cutting and pasting the same mistake. So apologize, Isabel. We'll get you straightened away.
Jackie, I sent Isabel her ballot.
Great. Awesome.
Perfect. All right, last.
That's all I have, really. And just a reminder that next month we have some of these ballot measures that we're going to talk about. You know, things we've already endorsed, like the Clean Money Act now is a proposition that's going to be on the ballot. Prop 38, the Dublin parcel tax, and others. So another jam-packed meeting next month.
Real quick, was there an update about the special election for CA14?
Then in the beginning, in my opening statement, I talked about the current status. Right now, Aisha Wahab has a narrow lead. The next ballot drop is going to be on Friday. And then there's going to be another update Wednesday. And then I think a final update the following Friday. So it's a very close race at this point. Anything else, Richard, on update on CA14? We did talk about some of the ads and stuff, but I'm not going to rehash all that. Some of the
Victor,
opening
if you would,
comments.
yeah, this is open discussion, folks. So like if anybody has anything they want to talk about or bring up, feel free to do so. This is open floor.
So did you have any comment about the race that we just went through, or still waiting for ballots to be counted?
No, I was just wondering because last I checked, Aisha was up by 1,300. I just wanted to see if that lead has shrunk or if it's gained. But
We
I
won't
mean,
have another ballot update until Friday from Alameda County. So we won't have any change in counts until then.
wow.
Victor, I will call you with in a cold sweat as soon as there's a new ballot drop. I'm getting texts from the ROV every time there's a new drop.
You guys need to talk to Alameda elections and be like, y'all need to speed that up.
This is them speeding it up, Victor. It's terrible here.
You would think with just the one race that they could have been doing daily updates, but no.
This was supposed to be them speeding it up. It sucks. Sorry, I'm just very upset about the pace.
You're valid.
Frustrating.
I was gonna say Santa Clara County, man. Y'all need to figure out what they're doing over there and bring it over to Alameda.
Anything else? That's all I have. Great meeting, Richard. A good job as always. Thank you for leading the Run Show tonight.
Thanks, Jackie, and thank you all for being here.
Thanks, Joy.
All right, good night, everybody.